I remember the morning Dad made the announcement like it was yesterday. I was leaning against the marble countertop in our family's kitchen, pouring a second cup of coffee into my favorite mug, when he walked in, unstoppable and confident, that presence that made the walls lean in. He didn't say good morning. He didn't ask how I was. He simply leaned against the counter, narrowed his eyes at me, and said, "Everyone's in the dining room. Join us." I carried my coffee upstairs, past family photos, Dad at his first board meeting, me at 8 winning my little league game, Mom smiling at both of us. Those pictures always told a story of pride and legacy. Now they felt like props in a play I hadn't auditioned for. The dining room chatter died when I stepped inside. Mom sat at the head of the long oak table, her cheeks taut. Claire fiddled with her napkin, avoiding my gaze. Daniel sat at the far end, arms crossed, scowling. Uncle Nee. Robert and Aunt Emily exchanged curious glances. Through the window, our lawn glowed in the morning sun, but inside the air tasted cold. I set my mug on the table. Dad cleared his throat. "Family," he began, voice even. "I want to make something clear. I've decided Lily will take over. The business." He spoke my name like a verdict. I blinked. Claire gasped. Mom's eyebrows lifted. Daniel just glared. Dad continued without pause. "She's been with me for over a decade, built our client services department from scratch. From now on, she makes every strategic decision." My chest tightened. Pride and terror collided. Pride because I'd poured 12 years into this company. Terror because I knew what came with that title. Expectations, power plays, eyes waiting for me to fail. Before I could speak, Dad left. Silence swallowed the room. Mom managed a tight smile. "Congratulations, dear." Daniel slumped back, flushed with envy. No one asked how I felt. No one expected me to speak. Later, I tried to work in my office. On the top floor, usually drafting quarterly reports or negotiating vendor contracts. Now I stared at a blank laptop screen, heart pounding. I'd spent a decade nurturing departments, saving the company from near bankruptcy more times than I could count. Yet Dad's announcement had reduced me to a title. I closed the laptop, packed my things, and headed to the family conference room across the hall. Dad had said, "Host the executive meeting tomorrow at 9. They'll want to know what Sayu..." Next! I flipped on the lights in the dim room, screens showing stock tickers, a whiteboard scribbled with growth projections, and sank into the leather chair, feeling the silence buzz with dread. That night, I barely slept, replaying Dad's words and wondering how I would lead when I didn't even know my real authority. I woke before dawn, poured coffee into my gold-rimmed porcelain mug, and stared out the sliding glass door at our back garden. I'd canceled vacations, worked late nights, taken every family sacrifice, all for this company. Dad built an empire. Now he was handing me the keys, without asking if I was ready. My phone buzzed, text from Alex, our CFO. "Dad wants to see you in his office, now." My pulse thundered. "On my way," I replied, gulped my coffee, and ran to the elevator. By 7:35 a.m., I stood before Dad's oversized desk, walls lined with awards and photos of him with governors and Fortune 500 CEOs. He didn't look up. His finger traced a jagged red line on a chart. I waited, hands clasped. Finally, he looked at me, dark circles under his eyes. "Lily," he said, voice low, "our succession plan has a clause I never mentioned." He slid a folder toward me. "We require an independent CEO for the first year after I step back. Someone with no family ties. Until that person steps in, you're president of day-to-day operations. Legally, we can't finalize your promotion until the board appoints that CEO." Everything went numb. "You put that clause in the charter and didn't tell me?" I whispered. He looked away. "I thought I had more time. The board pressed for clarity. They can't have family influence clouding decisions." He paused, pain flickering in his eyes. "I'm sorry you're blindsided." I sank back in my chair. A stranger as CEO, someone I'd never met, would outrank me on paper. My vision for the company was on hold. "Who's on the committee?" I asked. Our CFO, general counsel, and an external consultant from Berkeley. They start interviews next week. My chest tightened. I need to think, I said. Back in the conference room, I spread the charter pages before me. Every clause tied my hands. No strategic initiatives without CEO sign-off. Budgets over a threshold frozen. Even C-suite hires required that signature. I could run daily operations, marketing tweaks, small contracts, but not steer the ship. Rage stirred. Dad had built protections to avoid nepotism, but those same protections emptied me of power. The board hedged its bets, ready to blame a stranger if I stumbled. But I wasn't 12 anymore. I closed my laptop, called Mary Ann, our head of legal. 10 minutes later, she arrived, brows furrowed. I laid out the clause, my notes on how it rendered me powerless. I want an amendment giving me operational control until I vet and approve. The permanent CEO, I said. She sighed. Stockholders must approve changes like that. It won't be simple. Draft it anyway, I replied. Make it look logical. Continuity, less risk. I'll worry about stockholders later. That evening, I convened my core leadership team: marketing, sales, operations, finance. They sat around the table, exhausted, half expecting I'd announce my resignation. Instead, I explained Mary Ann's amendment. Once approved by our internal board, I'd serve as de facto CEO for 12 months, vetting any permanent hire that came next. Relief lit their faces. For the first time, we talked strategy instead of damage control. Next morning at 8:57 a.m., an urgent note from Dad. Boardroom at 9, not optional. Portraits of Dad cutting ribbons lined the hallway. Inside the boardroom, the 7 board members sat in silence. Committee chair, Dr. Ellen Nguyen from Berkeley, glared at me behind black-rimmed glasses. Dad nodded. Good morning, Lily. Please sit. I took the chair by his side, heart pounding. Dr. Nguyen began. We have 3 finalists. Each brings unique strengths. Our mandate is to find an independent CEO. She paused, eyes on me. Dad nodded, encouraging me to speak. I cleared my throat. I appreciate your work, Dr. Nguyen, but before you choose, consider this amendment. I slid Mary Ann's document across the table, a 12-month interim giving me operational control and veto over any permanent hire. This ensures continuity. We saw what happened with the Deming acquisition. An external CEO led to revolts and attrition. Let me lead for a year. If I falter, bring your candidate, but don't paralyze us now. A hush fell. Daniel leaned forward, lips curled. Dad's jaw clenched. After a suspended breath, Dr. Nguyen nodded slowly. We'll vote. The secretary called the tally. 5 in favor, 2 against, Daniel and 1 board member. Relief washed over me. Dad reached across, squeezed my hand. His nod said, You're on your own now. I moved fast. I emailed every department head. Effective immediately, I assumed CEO responsibilities. Schedule one-on-one KPI reviews. I changed my auto-reply to read Chief Executive Officer. Whispers trailed me, skepticism on every floor, but none dared question my authority. On Wednesday at 10, I booked the main auditorium, 200 seats, for a company-wide town hall. By 9:45 a.m., it was packed. Executives, managers, new interns. Claire even slipped in from her law firm. I stepped onto the stage, flicked on the mic. Good morning, I began, voice steady. I'm now CEO of our company. I built Client Seal. Services for 10 years, oversaw operations for 5. Under my leadership, we will expand into new markets, invest in talent development, and uphold our values. A ripple of murmurs swelled. I know the charter calls for an independent CEO, but I've amended it. For the next 12 months, I will lead. If we hit our targets, we'll discuss whether an outside candidate adds value. For now, trust continuity. Over change. Applause built, and I spotted Claire, tears in her eyes, pride shining through. That afternoon, as I caught my breath in my office, an email from Dr. Nguyen appeared. Congratulations. I'll send candidate bios later today. 3 profiles. A Fortune 500 veteran, a management professor, and a retired COO with global experience. I scrolled through their credentials, all impressive, all ignorant of our culture. Whom could I trust to step into Dad's shoes without stumbling? I closed my eyes and prepared to meet Dad for dinner. In his study at 7:00 p.m., Dad looked up, surprise flickering. "How did the board vote feel?" he asked. "Both empowering and terrifying," I admitted. I showed him the candidates. He leaned forward. "Remember, Lily, you need someone who follows your vision, not overshadows it." He paused, sadness in his gaze. "I'll support your choice." That night, I wondered if I should pick the retired COO, experience and cool resilience, or the professor's fresh ideas. I knew whatever I chose would shape our future. Meanwhile, rumors surfaced. By Thursday, someone leaked the CEO search and Slack buzzed, "Who's this outsider?" I heard the COO wants major cuts. Will Lily be replaced in a year? Anxiety rippled through staff. I forwarded the bios to my leadership team and blocked off time for one-on-ones. Finance at 1, marketing at 2, sales at 3, operations at 4. I needed to hear their honest concerns. In those meetings, I heard a spectrum of opinions. Alex, our CFO, ran numbers on each candidate. Jenna in marketing favored the professor's branding vision. Miguel in operations worried the retired COO wouldn't know our manufacturing quirks. Rachel in sales wanted charisma to win clients. Their perspectives clarified nothing except that every choice risked alienating someone. At 6:30 p.m., I drove home and found Claire waiting on our porch, her face pale under the street lamp. "Can we talk?" she asked. We settled at the kitchen, island where my coffee had gone cold. "I heard you're picking a stranger to run Dad's company," she said. "Do you trust someone you barely know?" Her question cut deeper than I expected. "I trust my judgment," I replied. "I need someone to challenge me, keep me honest. Legacy alone isn't enough." She nodded, tearful but supportive. "Just promise you'll think it through." I did. Next morning at 9:45, I found the retired COO waiting in the 42nd floor lobby, shoulders broad, hair peppered with gray. He extended his hand. "Ms. Harris, call me Sam." We walked to the conference room. For an hour, we talked leadership, philosophy, his global experience, and my vision. He listened more than spoke, nodding at every question. When I asked about our industry, he admitted he'd need to learn, but assured me he was a quick study. He pulled out a slide deck, CRM enhancements, cost analyses, leadership development plans, each idea finely detailed. By 11:00, I was leaning toward him. Before he left, I told him Dad wanted to meet him at noon. "I'd be honored," he said. That afternoon, during the 2 p.m. marketing meeting, Dad's text appeared. "See me in my study, immediately." I closed my laptop, hurried to the hallway lined with Dad's photos, and found him and Sam there. Sam offered a warm handshake. "Pleasure to meet you, Ms. Harris." Dad gestured to me. "Lily, Sam is exactly what we need. Someone to keep you sharp and push us forward." He turned to Sam. "If you can prove yourself in 12 months, this job is yours." Sam nodded, eyes steady. "I accept." Dad exhaled, vulnerability etched on his face. "You both must learn from each other. Don't make it impossible." That evening, I met Sam in my office. He'd toured our facilities and met frontline staff. He'd already learned our main products and asked detailed client questions. I peppered him with technical queries, supply, chain glitches, outdated CRM limits. He answered each calmly, blending adaptability with expertise. By 7:10 p.m., I felt a rare spark of respect, the sort that marks a partnership built on mutual trust. The next week was a blur. I introduced Sam to every department head: HR, finance, operations, marketing, R&D. Some managers shot wary glances. Others whispered I was naive. But I stayed visible, walking through cubicles, dropping into team huddles, reassuring staff I still called the shots. On Monday afternoon, Sales VP Rachel emailed me. "Sam's changes to the pitch deck are brilliant. Clients," noticed immediately, Great hire! My chest warmed. Later that evening, operations reported production improved 5% since Sam's visit. He caught a workflow glitch our team missed. Praise buoyed me, but a knot of doubt lingered. Had I given too much control to someone I barely knew? Then Wednesday arrived, my reckoning. The Kingswell Group, one of our top clients, was visiting to negotiate expansion into 3 new markets. I'd managed this deal for months. At 8:45 a.m., Sam and I sat in the boardroom reviewing final terms. I handled rapport and history. He tackled legal details and financial structures. When the Kingswell team walked in at 10, I introduced Sam as our CEO partner. Polite nods, cautious eyes followed. 4 hours later, at 2:15 p.m., we shook hands. Deal sealed. As the Kingswell team filed out, I caught Sam's expression. Relief, pride, quiet vindication. In that moment, adrenaline surged. We had delivered, outsider or not. Late afternoon, an anonymous email appeared in my inbox. Concerns about our new CEO. It contained half-truths, rumors Sam planned department overhauls, speculation I was ceding too much authority. I forwarded it to Marianne. Investigate leaks. She confirmed it was internal. My stomach dropped. Family tensions, board politics. They would seize on this to undermine Sam by discrediting me. That evening, I convened my leadership team under buzzing fluorescents. We sat in a private conference room. I laid out the situation, dissension, the smear, potential sabotage. They watched me, waiting. I took a breath. Tomorrow at 10, Sam and I will hold a town hall, transparent, honest. We'll address concerns. Head on. I expect all of you there, backing us up, speaking truth. Heads nodded. The commitment solidified. At 10 the next morning, the auditorium buzzed with anticipation, more crowded than before. Sam and I walked on stage side by side. Silence fell. I began. Good morning. Many of you know about the audit investigation. We uncovered sabotage aimed at harming our systems and Sam's credibility. We've taken swift action. Sam detailed new compliance measures, 2-factor authentication, external cybersecurity reviews. The audience's applause emojis and nods filled the room. Unity flickered back to life. In the days after, the company rallied. Sam and I became a symbol of collaboration, the founder's daughter partnering with a seasoned outsider to steer a family business forward. Meanwhile, Daniel's name became whispered gossip, forced off the board, selling his shares to an investor eager to shake up leadership. I felt bittersweet vindication. Family ties severed, but the company intact, and stronger for it. A month. Later, Dad summoned me to his study for lunch. He sat behind his desk, 2 letters before him, one for me, one for Sam. He handed me mine first, the official document naming me Chief Executive Officer, removing interim, and granting me full authority. My hand trembled as I read. Next was Sam's letter, naming him reporting to me, our partnership sealed. Dad met my eyes, vulnerability in his gaze. I wanted you to have full credit. You earned it. Sam is here to help you, not replace you. I nodded, tears pricking. Leadership isn't given, it's proven. I proved it. He exhaled, pride and relief mingling. By the time I stepped out into the rose-gold sunset, the city skyline shimmered with possibility. I thought of how far we'd come in just 2 months. From Dad's decree to forging an unlikely alliance, from my brothers, sabotage to transparent victory. My phone buzzed, a message from Claire. Proud of you. Any brother who can't see your worth doesn't deserve your time. I typed back, love you. That night, as I slid into bed, I reflected on everything. The rush of fear when Dad first announced I'd lead, the shock of discovering his secret clause, the determination to amend that clause, the thrill of sealing the Kingswell deal with Sam, the betrayal when my brother turned on us, and the relief of rallying the company under transparency and trust. I placed my empty coffee mug on the nightstand, turned off the lamp, and let my last thought drift. Legacy isn't about blood. It's about what you build, who you uplift, and how you stand when the world expects you to fall. And I chose to stand.